Today we are learning how to find slope from a table. Let's say you're given a table of x and y values. Your x values are 1, 2, 3, and 4, and your y values are 4, 6, 8, and 10. Now we know that slope is a measurement of the steepness of a line, but here we don't have a line. So we'll use the definition that slope is measured as the change in y divided by the change in x, because we could find that on our table. First, we'll start by looking for our change in y. We'll see how much does the y value change as you move from one cell to the next. And we can see to go from 4 to 6, we're moving up 2. We can check to move from 6 to 8, we're also moving up 2. And to move from 8 to 10, we're also moving up 2. So our change in y is definitely plus 2. Now we need to look for our change in x. Well, we can see as our x moves from 1 to 2, it's increasing by 1. As it moves from 2 to 3, it's increasing by 1. And as it moves from 3 to 4, it's increasing by 1. So our change in x is plus 1. Now we can find slope by just doing 2 divided by 1 to find that the slope is 2. Now let's look at some of these together. Let's have a table with x values of 2, 4, 6, and 8, and y values of 0, 3, 6, and 9. We're going to look for our change in y over our change in x. To start, let's look for our change in y. Well, what's happening when I move from 0 to 3? I'm going up by 3. What happens when I move from 3 to 6? I'm also going up by 3. And moving from 6 to 9 is also going up by 3. So what is my change in y? My change in y is a positive 3. Now let's look for our change in x. Well, what's happening when I move from 2 to 4? I'm increasing by 2. What happens when I move from 4 to 6? I also increase by 2. And when I move from 6 to 8, I'm also increasing by 2. So my change in x is plus 2, positive 2. So what is the slope here? Well, to find the slope, you just do 3 divided by 2. We'll leave that as a fraction, so we'll write our slope as 3 halves. Let's look at another. This time on our table, the x values will be negative 8, negative 5, 4, and 10. The y values will be 5, 7, 13, and 17. Again, we'll start by looking for our change in y over our change in x. But this time, when we move from 5 to 7, what's happening? We're going up by 2. But when we move from 7 to 13, what's happening? This time we go up by 6. And when we move from 13 to 17, we go up by 4. So we can't tell what our change in y is. It's changing each time. Well, now let's look at the x values. When we move from negative 8 to negative 5, what's happening? We're increasing by 3. But moving from negative 5 to 4, what happens? We're increasing by 9. And when we move from 4 to 10, we increase by 6. So in this table, my change in y and my change in x are not always the same. When this is the case, we need to look at just one piece at a time. We'll start by looking at this first jump, where our y goes up by 2. Then, we'll look for the matching jump on the x, where we go up by 3. Now we could calculate the slope of that one piece is 2 over 3, or just 2/3. Then we can try again with our next jump. Well, this time we see our y is moving from 7 to 13. It's going up 6. And our x is moving from negative 5 to 4, which is going up 9. But we can simplify this. What can 6 over 9 be simplified to? Well, 6 over 9 can be simplified to 2 over 3. It's the same slope, 2/3. Finally, we can look for our last piece. When we move from 13 to 17, we're moving up 4. And then when we move from 4 to 10, our x is increasing by 6. And 4 over 6 can be simplified to what? 4 over 6 is also 2/3. So the slope from this table was 2/3. Now it's time for you to practice on your own. Here's a table with x values of 1, 3, 5, and 7, and y values of negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, and 0. What is the slope? Well, we have to calculate change in y over change in x. To do this, we can see our y moves from negative 3 to negative 2. That's increasing 1. From negative 2 to negative 1, it's increasing by 1. And from negative 1 to 0, it's increasing by 1. They're all the same. The change in y here is positive 1. Then we look for our change in x. To go from 1 to 3, we increase by 2. To go from 3 to 5, we increase by 2. And to go from 5 to 7, we increase by 2. So our change in x is a positive 2. Then to find the slope, we just do 1 divided by 2, which will leave us the fraction 1/2. Here's your last one for this video. On this table, we'll have x-coordinates of -12, -4, 0, and 8. Our y-coordinates are -16, -10, 7, and -1. What is our slope? Well, here you need to look for the change in y over the change in x. When you do this, we see moving from -16 to -10, you're increasing 6. But -10 to -7, you're only increasing 3. And then -7 to -1, you're back to increasing by 6. On our x values, when we move from -12 to -4, we're increasing by 8. But -4 to 0 is only increasing by 4. And when we move from 0 to 8, we're increasing by 8. So here we'll need to look at each piece individually. We see our first change in y is this +6. It's a positive 6. And then our first change in x is this +8. It's a positive 8. Then we can simplify 6 over 8 to give us 3/4. Then we repeat with the next piece. We can see the next change in y is this +3. It's a positive 3. And the next change in x is this +4. It's a positive 4. And 3 over 4 is again just a slope of 3/4. Our final jump, we can see that our change in y is +6. It's a positive 6. And our change in x is the +8. It's a positive 8. This, just like the first one, simplifies to 3/4. And so the slope from this table was 3/4. From today, remember to calculate slope from a table by looking for the change in y over the change in x.